And actually, wow, I'm going to give you a sneak peek because I know this is going to be out when the album is out. This is going to be the album cover. And it has, my sister printed it for me. It's not it yet, but it has a tiger. Hi.
Hi, Dida. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you doing this.
I appreciate you having me.
Of course. My name is Adam, and this podcast is about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new record you have coming out as well, or a new album, I should say.
Both work.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, first, were you born and raised in Tel Aviv and moved to New York? Or
That's right.
Okay,
I was born in Tel Aviv and I moved to New York 13 years ago.
Oh, okay, cool. What was it like growing up in Tel Aviv?
It was beautiful. It's actually very different from what it is now. I just came back from a short visit and it felt like the city has changed a lot.
Oh, really? Is that a good thing?
I don't know. I didn't like it so much, but I still love Tel Aviv. But it's cool. I mean, it's a small city, but it's very full of life. And there's a lot of really good artists and beautiful things coming from Tel Aviv. So I was lucky to be able to like learn a lot because there was really good jazz scene when I was growing up there. And there was a lot of people to look up to and like learn from. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I've interviewed a few artists from Tel Aviv that so there's quite a decent music scene from what I gather there, right?
Like Israelis are badasses.
Yeah.
For this small city, and like everyone is so good.
That's so cool. And how did you get into music? Are your parents musical at all? Brothers and sisters?
My family is a musician or
really
music and they love it, but they're very not like in the arts. But when I was 10 years old, there's a holiday in Israel that is like, it's called, I don't know how to say it in English because I don't think it has a name, Lag BaOmer. And what we do in this holiday at school is like we have a little campfire and everyone sits around it and like eat, like potatoes, you put in the thing. And usually someone plays. So like if there's a father or a mother of someone in class that knows how to play, they play the guitar and everyone sings along. And I really liked that idea. And I saw a father of someone in my class playing and everyone sang along. And I was like really wanting to do that myself. So I told my parents I must play the guitar like that person. And I convinced them. They were like a little
hesitant.
And also I had my best friend was studying piano and her teacher really wanted me. I think she probably wanted to have me as her student because she said I'm too small for the guitar, so I should do piano. And I was like, no.
Of course.
And I actually got a small guitar and my parents agreed and I started learning. And the year after I was already there with that father. We were playing together and it was so funny. I have a picture from that and I also dressed like him.
Oh, wow. Oh, so the following year you were playing
the following year I was already
playing the holiday
gig. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And that's how I started. I was very motivated to like, yalla, I have to play songs already.
Okay. Well, I'm curious about this holiday. So you said it's a holiday where you just get together with family and everybody hangs out around
like the whole class, and you hang out. And you eat dry fruit. What else do you know about this holiday? Okay. It's a very small one-day holiday.
And just for people in when you say your class, what do you mean by that? Like people are like going to school with?
Like school does that. Like
in
so
school.
All the parents and kids in class do it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Get together and like eat,
It's like a big party at school.
Yeah, it's party outside of school because you make a big fire.
Okay, that's really cool. So that's
really
where, that's what drew you into playing guitar. And then when you get this guitar,
dream gig,
and so you get this guitar, and then are you just obsessed with it? Are you playing it all the time, 24/7?
I mean, I think in those first few years, I was very quick to learn like to a basic level, but then I had so many things I was doing. I was playing tennis and basketball. And I was going to the scouts and dancing jazz. Like that's how they call dancing class, jazz.
Oh
but it
yeah,
was
jazz dance. Both of my sons were in dance, and one of them still is in dance. The younger one still is in dance. Yeah,
yeah.
the
So I
jazz
was
dad,
playing
jazz dance.
yeah, a lot of stuff like that, and guitar was part of it, but I really loved it, and I always wanted opportunities to perform. So like I did do a lot of playing at school at those ages, but I wasn't like still. It took a few years till I got really nerdy and like I did only that. When I was 15, I went to an arts high school that's really good in Tel Aviv. And I don't even know why I got into that high school. Like it wasn't so clear that music is like above the other things that I was doing, you know? I told you I did all this stuff, so music was part of it, but I wasn't like
just part of it.
It was still that, but I had some intuition that I wanted to go to this special school, the art school, and I got in.
So you had audition to get in, or
you have to audition, and I passed. So I was like, okay, I'm going to this school.
As a guitar player?
As a guitar player, and it's like a jazz program, but I honestly knew nothing about jazz, but they accepted me.
Wow. So they must have seen potential, obviously. Yeah. I mean, jazz is so hard. I mean, you're incredibly good at guitar, but jazz
wasn't at the time, yeah.
But yeah, like jazz itself is so technical, and then to be able to go in as
none of the kids at 15 really knew jazz. Like we knew we're going to a jazz program, so they see like potential.
They're like, okay, we'll give you a shot.
Yeah, let's have these people learn jazz, but like they know that we're not going to know it before.
Sure.
But they wanted to see dedicated, like people that are going to put their hearts in it. So listen, I don't know how it happened, but like from 15 to 18, I was sucked into this scene at the School of Jazz, and I was like totally doing only that. Like I didn't know anything else that was going on in the world musically or in any way. I only cared about like playing good bebop solos for a few years. Like a dream that I don't remember that time, except of like it was so important to me to like practice 4 hours a day at least.
Wow.
And really the things that made me nervous at the time weren't like, I don't know, social things at high school. It was like when we have this class, I want to play the best solo, and like I wanted to be the best. That's the jazz guitar randomly.
That's amazing though. Were you writing your own songs at this point, or were just
learning the craft? We're not about writing your own songs at that stage. I just wanted to know how to play jazz.
Okay. And you did that for a while. You ended up going into the army, right? For guitar? Because you have to serve. Is that what, from what I understand in Tel Aviv or in Israel, you have to serve in their military?
Yes, so we all have to go to the army. At 18, you finish high school, and girls go for 2 years, boys for 3 years.
Okay.
And yeah, you have to do it.
No choice, right? You just go right in. And then how do you decide which like path? Like, I mean, to go in and then get to play guitar, that's probably a pretty cool.
So I auditioned for this special role that's called, I guess I will translate it as outstanding musician. So I auditioned to see if I'm going to get that position, and I did. Only like 10 people a year get it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then I was an outstanding musician in the army. So basically it means because everyone in Israel are drafted, they don't want to lose the arts, right? So if everyone at 18 will completely stop working on their craft, there will be no Israeli artists, because like imagine dancers, musicians, everyone stopping working and practicing.
Yeah, to spend 2 to 3 years in the army. Okay.
So they want to maintain the art, so they allow these special spots for people that can still have time to like work on their craft and their career. So I was able to do that. So I could still practice and play shows outside of the army, but in the army I also was playing in a band, and it was actually a really interesting time because it was the first time after these intense few years of like really diving into jazz that I again got a little perspective and remembered that there are other things in the world. And the music we had to play in that army band was music for soldiers who just want some entertainment during like very intense training. So they obviously don't want to hear jazz.
Right.
They just want some like Israeli pop and rock songs.
Sure.
in the 1 hour they have in an intense month of training. So we had to provide that. So it made me like connect to the part that loves to do that, you know, play people's songs that have another effect on them and less intellectual jazz stuff. And it also, I developed a secret wish to sing, because I was only playing the guitar then, and I like realized, wow, I kind of want to sing.
Oh, was there something that like, do you remember that moment, or was it just like, I love these pop songs we're playing, it would be cool to be able to sing along as well?
I remember that I started at the time listening to a lot of music like that's not jazz, and I was really like loving songs, and once you start loving songs you want to sing them, and it was such a cool thing to explore my singing, but it was a big secret. It was like I couldn't tell people that I'm doing it because I was already at a very good level on the guitar, and I was scared to like start being a mediocre singer.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And it's such a vulnerable thing too to sing, so I was like for 2 years hiding it. It was like coming out of the closet vibes.
Yeah, it is interesting how, I mean, it makes sense in that sense, but that singing is such a vulnerable thing, because if you're not good at guitar right away, if you just pick a guitar up and start hitting it, it's like, oh yeah, you're not good at guitar, but you'll eventually get good. But with singing, it's like, it's your own voice. So if somebody tells you you suck, you can't sing, then you're like, ooh, ouch. Like that means the sound of something I can't even change isn't good.
But it's actually, you can work on it.
Right, you can work for sure, but I mean, to take that in as one, you know what I mean?
Very personal, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Anyway,
so so you decided you want to try to learn singing, but you were playing guitar,
so I was
obviously much better.
Guitar teacher, and I started like exploring my voice secretly. But I was also still playing jazz gigs as a guitar player, like for other singers and like with my trio group and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I did slowly, the two classical singers in my army ensemble noticed that I like to sing, and they were really supportive. So like I got one song that was my feature, like a year in or something. And then I started like exploring singing, and I honestly think I moved to New York right after the army because I kind of wanted even more room to like experience these different parts of myself without feeling so shy about it.
Okay.
So New York, I came here and I presented myself like I play guitar and I sing, and it was a little easier because people didn't know me already as one thing, you know? So it's kind of like a little easier to change.
When you were in the army, that's when you presented yourself, like you showed these two other singers or these classically trained singers that you wanted to sing, and like
I told them like, or I sang a little or something. I showed them a song I learned and loved, and they were like, Dida. They were really liking my singing. It was like very...
Wow. Was that, you must have been pretty nervous to show somebody, right? I mean, you were talking about how it was kind of a thing that you didn't show anyone, and now you're presenting it to people who are already great vocalists. Yeah,
I guess it started there.
Okay. And then
I was trying to copy them in everything. Like they told me they're not, I don't know, they don't eat lactose because it makes them like have phlegm and it's not good for singing. So I stopped doing that. I was like,
oh, wow. Little tricks.
Yeah. I guess I'm like attracted to like culty vibes. So like in the jazz bebop, I was like doing what you need to do to be in that. And then in the army, I wanted to be a singer. So I listened to the classical singers. What do you have to do, you know? It's
when
fun rituals.
I'm just curious with the army real quick. Are you living like in a barrack, or like, are you living like amongst the other soldiers for those 2 years?
No. So there are a lot of jobs like I did that you're still at home, but you just go to do stuff. So like I was living in with my parents in Tel Aviv, and I had to go to the army, but like, so I didn't have it's called like a closed base where you're somewhere and you're sleeping there. It was an open base. So I was just going, but coming back home. But sometimes if you play the show that's far, we would stay there.
Right. But so you're not like necessarily living. Yeah, obviously you're not living in the barracks or like living amongst everybody else for 2 years. You're at your parents' house and you just kind of drive in as it's your job. Drive in. Okay. And were you playing gigs like every day, or is it mainly a lot of practice and then every once in a while you play? Like how frequently were you guys playing? Oh, okay.
It really depends. Like, imagine like sometimes there's a little war or something, so we can't.
Right. Yeah.
We're not playing. I don't know. Or there's like times when there's a lot of ceremonies, like for like Memorial Day and stuff. So then we work a lot. Or holidays.
Okay.
And then there's time that we don't work a lot. It's really.
It's just yeah, it depends.
It's changed. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to the new school in New York.
That's right.
Wow. And was that something that you applied to, got into, and then moved to New York? You said you moved to New York and you kind of presented yourself now as like a singer and a guitar player.
Right. So when I finished the army, I already knew that I want to move to New York. It wasn't only connected to music, by the way. I have two older siblings, a brother and a sister, and they both also went to school here in New York.
Okay.
So as a kid, I always came here in like summers to visit them, and I knew that I'm going to live in New York and also study here. And then when I went to the jazz program at the high school, and I saw a lot of like my jazz idols also are in New York, I just knew that I had to do it. So I actually got a full scholarship to Berkeley College of Music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you turned that down. That sounds
and I said to my parents, I must go to New York. Let me go audition to the new school. And if they give me a nice scholarship, I'll go there. And if not, I'll do the Berkeley thing. So then they said, okay. And then, so right after the army, I came to New York for 2 months. And the only thing I had in those 2 months was that audition to the new school. And I did well. So like I got a great scholarship and like.
Wow, congratulations.
I actually had a hard time that 2 months in New York. It was the first time I experienced like a winter here. And remember, Israel is like desert vibe. So it was.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't freezing cold. Sure.
Yeah. And I had nothing to do but that audition. So I was very lost. But yeah, that was when I moved to New York. But then I went home for a few months and got ready to like actually move here for school. And then I started the new school.
Very cool. And once you're at the new school, were you performing at all in New York at that point, or just trying to get through college?
Asked good questions. Helping me tell the story. Okay, so I actually was very lucky. And when I got to New York, in the first month I got here, I got a regular gig at a wine bar at the West Village.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I got some Israeli connections. And like I just walked in the bar and I saw there was an Israeli manager. And we kind of like hit it off. And I told him that I'm a musician, if he ever thought of having live music at the bar. And he says, no, but like, I really want to try. So I said, great. And we said, let's do it on Sunday and test it. So I went there on that Sunday with my guitar and my amp and my little microphone stand and microphone. And I played the gig and it was great. And then it ended with him asking, what are you doing Sundays the rest of your life? And then that was so I got that weekly gig. And actually that was the best place to like start experimenting with my sound and like singing more. That was my first time actually getting a lot of like time singing. So I was playing there every week. I called different musicians. It paid all right, so I can call like legit bass players in New York, and I was playing duo and singing songs, and I learned new songs every week and brought them. And I really learned a lot in that gig. And then from that, I even got more opportunities. So like once you get a gig, you're like, you can call people, so you meet new people, so then they call you for gigs. Or
okay, and you were networking, basically networking through that wine bar.
Yeah, or like people come and know you and invite you to do like this and that, like things start rolling, or like I once went to Small's Jazz Club, also in my first semester at the new school, and it's the coolest jazz club at the West Village. And I went there and I met this Italian trumpet player, and we chatted a little, and I invited him to sit in at that gig at the wine bar. So he started coming on Sundays for like 3 times and just played with us. Great trumpet player, Fabio Morghera from Italy.
Okay.
And then after 3 times, he told me that he knows this guy that has a label in Italy, a very prestige label, and that he think he'll be into producing a record for me. And if I'd be interested. And he said, I think you're going to go in many different directions, like genre-wise, and but you also sound so good just playing straight ahead jazz like you do here at the gig. You should make a straight ahead jazz recording, and like, because you just do it so well, like, why don't you do it? Okay, so I like said, all right, but like, so I never thought about making a record.
Okay.
So I told him, how can I do that? And he said, whatever you do at the bar, we're going to pick the best songs and like go into a studio.
And these are songs that you had written?
No, so jazz is a lot of like, jazz, like songs from the Great American Jazz Book.
Okay.
That's how they call it, okay? It's like all the jazz musicians, Frank Sinatra, Billie Holiday, they mostly play songs from that exist, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that's what we do as like jazz musicians. We interpret songs, either instrumentally or with singing. So it was mostly that. Yeah, I never wrote a song in that then when I was 20.
Right. Okay.
So
you go to the studio and you record some of the best songs that you guys had chosen.
Exactly. And I was very lucky, and I got like a dream band. I was 21 years old, and I got Roy Hargrove. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a jazz star, trumpet player. He passed away a few years ago. He's very well known also because he had like amazing style, and he was very involved in the hip hop world. And but he's like amazing jazz musician, one of the best ever. And he was a special guest on the record. And I had Gregory Hutchinson playing drums. So I was like playing with big league people.
Right. Wow.
And it was like I now know how it helped me. Like it was a strong start, because then I was called to play a lot of jazz festivals in Europe and here. And I all of a sudden had like a little career to handle. Jazz career, when I was just in my first semester at the new school. So I got a lot of opportunities from doing that record and etc. So I feel like at the new school I was already like handling a little
kind of doing the artist thing already.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was really fun.
Sure. Did you end up finishing at the new school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 years.
Wow. So you go through would you graduate like as a jazz guitar player with the
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was already completely like working as a singer there then too. But like I was at the new school, I attended as a guitar player.
Okay.
So like my recital and everything was that, but they were like letting me sing. They loved that I do both.
And your first, that first record is the self-titled album, right? That's when you're talking about, the one that you did, the jazz record.
Yeah. What do you mean by self-titled?
It's just your name is what it's called.
It's called Dida Plays and Sings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Dida Plays and Sings, and then Modern Love Songs is the next record.
Right. So Modern Love Songs was my first attempt at like writing or making something a little less like straight ahead jazz.
Right. Those have songs that you've written, right? Recorded
Most
yourself.
of them, there are still a few covers there, but the covers are already like from different worlds. It's not like jazz standards anymore.
Okay. Like
there's a Randy Newman cover there, Willie Nelson. What else is in there? I haven't listened to it, thank God, for a long time.
Well, with that album, how was it writing songs for the first time that were, yours? Was that a different, what was that like?
So everything honestly came from the gig. So like I was playing that wine bar gig, and I was playing a lot with the bass player that became very close collaborator. Tal Ronen is Israeli. And we started, instead of just playing standards, also bringing like folky songs. So like Bob Dylan, Lou Reed, whatever songs we liked, I started like bringing them and singing them and treating them as if they were jazz standards. Okay. And as we did that, we started like wanting to write our own songs, and we started writing together. So I wrote most of these songs with him.
Okay.
And that was really cool. We learned a lot from it. And those are the songs that ended up on that record.
So that was all work. Yeah, you done them with him. And then you put out another record after that. And was that more jazz standards? Or was that back to?
Yeah, so I actually was working on the record that I did with Tal, the songs. And I was a little frustrated before releasing it with like, there's a lot of work that's not making the music, which is kind of hard sometimes. And I was a little like, wow, I need to do something completely different for a second. And I was actually also working on my visa, my next artist visa, and I needed to meet Fabio, that trumpet player, to sign like a letter from me, a recommendation letter. And he told me, Dida, like, you want to make another jazz album? Because like Sergio, the guy who owns the label, really wants to make another record with you. But he said, but I'm in New York. You already moved back to Italy. So he said, I'm in New York just for 3 weeks. So if you want to do it, we need to do it like in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And because I was like so needing something else for my soul, I told them, let's do it. And like, I made up a record in like 2 weeks. I made a whole repertoire and a concept, and I recorded an instrumental mostly album with a really good trio. We did it an organ trio. So like no bass, organ, bass, drums, and guitar. I think it's a very good record. It's like a jazz record.
And so that was done that quickly.
So
just
it
like,
was that
yeah,
right.
wow.
Obviously, things are not as easy as they sound. And like something went wrong with that recording day. And I like booked another recording without Fabio of like, I needed to redo a few things. So it took longer, but yeah, it was basically a very quick record. And I'm very proud of it. It's called A Missing Shade of Blue.
It's amazing. And with this, you have a new record coming out, and you've released a few songs thus far. And with the new album and everything, was this something that, like, when did you start working on these new songs?
Okay, so many stories. So while I was touring a little and releasing these albums that we just talked about, I was also spending a lot of time in Israel. I had graduated from the new school, and I had reasons that I needed to be there more, or also was in Europe a lot playing. So it made more sense because it's closer. So while I was spending a lot of time in Israel, I met this amazing two guys that we started a band together called the Ragtime Vampires. And it's like, we only played after midnight. We had a little bandana with blood on it. And it's like, wow, it's a funny band. It's like a fast Americana songs, or like a jug band vibe, but with like witty Hebrew lyrics. Okay. So I really loved playing with them, and it will like open up a lot of chakras for me. And one of the guys there is like a genius, and his name is Yami Whistler. And we really like hit it off and had a good time writing songs together. So I started stealing him for my project, and I met him 4 times over the course of 2 years in Europe for a week to do like a writing thing. So we met in Berlin, we met in Switzerland twice, and we met again in Berlin and just did songwriting. We just listened to music and wrote songs. So a lot of the songs from the record that I'm about to release are from those journeys in Europe with Yami. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we wrote a lot of songs. We wrote like 40 songs. Every time for a week, we came back with like 10 songs. Wow. And when was this done? Was this done within the past year or so, or is this a while back? The writing was a while ago, but during the pandemic, I started recording them. Oh, okay. And were you here, or were you in New York during the pandemic, or were you I was in New York. Oh my, I'm sorry. Okay. No, well, it was horrible there. It was horrible everywhere. Yeah, horrible everywhere, I guess. Time. Yeah. But so you were here in New York, and that's and I actually had no plan in recording these songs, by the way. I had given up doing that because I tried many times before. And I felt like I just can't get the recording right. Like, I was sitting with amazing, very talented producers and tried a lot of different approaches to how to record these songs, and nothing really felt like that's the perfect fit. That's the sound I like to go with, even though I really love the songs, and I was already playing them at shows, and it felt like they're my songs, right? But the recording didn't go well in many times, so I was like, I don't think I should record these songs anymore. Honestly, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was tired of it, and I tried a whole new approach. I went to Berlin, the last trip I told you about. I told my Yami and another friend who collaborated with us, let's try a whole different thing. And when we write the song, let's record them like hip hop style. Like, we make a beat and we make the song to it. because I felt like maybe if the song wouldn't exist before and then we have to record them, maybe something will feel more organic, like we made them into the recording. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're recording them like basically live as you're writing them all down.
And I felt like I wanted to explore that way of writing songs and recording them in attempt to actually be able to finish a recording. So then I did that, and we ended up with like a bizarre, amazing electronic EP. And then that I will release soon.
Okay.
But before that happens, so then I was like, before the pandemic, I was so excited about that project, even though it's very different from everything I ever did, and it doesn't even have a guitar.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, just like bizarre sing. I never sang like that before. It was something totally special, but it has such a strong energy that I felt like, wow, that's it. And I had like 2 weird performances at Club Cummings in the East Village at a comedy show of Kat Cohen with those songs, and like I thought that's my new direction. And then the pandemic hit, and like obviously everything stopped. And then I don't know, a month or 2 into the pandemic, I was a little bored at home. So I reconnected like the setup of like recording at home. And because I didn't have something else to do, I started recording the acoustic songs I wrote before at home just to mess around with recording at home, basically. And those really simple versions started to feel it started to feel very convincing and honest. And I sent it to the guys in my band that played like local shows with me in New York. And they also like recorded themselves playing. And those versions started to feel like that's the sound. How didn't I do it before? Just playing it more like we play together at shows. Without trying a production, just a live thing. So we really got to a place we like with the 4 songs like that. And then at that time, I got a call. I had a sushi with my friend Spencer, and I told them that we have versions that I am able to commit to, and I need a mixing engineer to mix it together. And he recommended a guy named Phil. And I went home and I found a Phil online, and I hit that guy up. I thought it's perfect for it. And we hit it off right away. And we set a week at a studio upstate to finish the record. Because he said, I'm down to mix your songs, but if you have more songs, let's track them first. And then we mix everything together because it will sound more cohesive. I said yes. And Phil and I and the band go upstate for a week, 3 weeks after, like it was very quick. And then I go, and like 10 minutes before we get to that house, 4 hours away from Manhattan already, I ask Phil, so how do you know Spencer Murphy? And he tells me that he doesn't know a Spencer Murphy. But I said that he's the guy who recommended you. And he said, no, Spencer Zahn recommended. He told me that he recommended me to you. And I told him, I know Spencer Zahn, but we never talked about you. Anyway, I found that I'm in the car with the wrong Phil, and I'm about to spend a week with them in that house and finish the record. But I was honestly so happy because I already felt like we had such a strong, good connection that like I knew that he's the guy who's going to help me finish this. And he did. We had an incredible week. We just played the songs that I didn't record here at home together as a band up there, and we, added fun stuff later, like overdubs. And it was pretty easy from there to finish the record.
That's funny though. You had the wrong Phil in the car.
Yeah. The other Phil is great too. I'm excited to work with him one day.
Wow. Okay. And the record is called Love of the Tiger. And tell me about the concept of the album. What is that about?
Well, another big story. The record, there's one song called Love of the Tiger. That song I wrote, I actually started it when I was playing shows in Russia, and I had a day off at a very bizarre hotel. Like really, cables came from the walls. It was like a scary place a little. But I was actually coming from a week in Germany with Yami and writing songs. And in the end of our session, we were discussing, kind of like joking about maybe my grandmother is from Thailand. And I grew up thinking that, I mean, I've been told that she was a Thai princess, and till today, no one has disputed that. So I always known that I'm a Thai royalty. Anyway, so when we talked about like directions for like genres to write songs, one of them was maybe I should be like, because do you know that the king of Thailand was a blues musician until 2006 when he passed away? He's like an incredible guitar player.
Wow. Yeah. I did not have any clue. That's incredible.
So I thought maybe like my performance character could be like a cool Thai royalty guitar player. Mm-hmm. So when I was in Russia and I had a day off, I was like messing around. I was listening to psychedelic Thai music from like the 60s. And I tried to write a melody that will feel like could work for that character I tried to invent for the Thai blues player. And I just wrote this melody, like that is the one of the tracks on this record that's called Love of the Tiger, but it's actually based on Thai blues kind of sound that I imagined. Mm-hmm. But the tiger thing also is a big thing. Wow, I'm telling you all the stories. Tiger thing is my dad has an obsession with tigers, and he has an insane collection of tigers and tattoos all over himself. He's like a crazy guy, like that.
Like, what do you say? He has an insane collection of tigers, like figurines.
Not real tigers, not real tigers. I'm like tiger items.
Items of okay. He's not the Tiger King or anything like that.
No. But it's like that. Like he has tattoos, car with tiger. He's like an insane museum of everything you can item of tigers you can imagine. Okay. And so I call the song Love of the Tiger because it feels like also Thai, but also tiger, and also the album. And actually, wow, I'm going to give you a sneak peek because I know this is going to be out when the album is out. This is going to be the album cover. And it has, my sister printed it for me. It's not it yet, but it has a tiger.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you see it well.
Yeah, I can see it. Is that your sister in the chair?
No, it's me.
Oh, it's you in the chair. What did you say about your sister? I thought you said
she printed it for me because it's just.
She printed it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I can't tell who it is in the.
Yeah, no.
Okay, but I can see the tiger, and I can see someone sitting in the chair. So you are in the chair in the tiger. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the story behind the tiger, and then you recorded some of the songs were tracked at your house, and then those made the recording as well, the record.
Some of them. So yeah, there was some of the song I started in my house, and then we started going to Jersey City to my friend who helped me produce it. He co-produced the record, Andrew Forman, and he plays in my band. Mm-hmm. We went there, me and Guy Paz, the drummer. The three of us started hanging out a lot. It was right when the pandemic was a little less insane and like people would meet in like small groups. Mm-hmm. So we started hanging out like twice a week at Jersey City and just messing around with the version I started here. And they like overdubbed some drums, percussion, more, back vocals, more guitars and stuff. So we made a few songs just like that. Mm-hmm. And then 5 of the songs, we just tracked them as is upstate, just a live performance with some fun overdubs too.
Wow, exciting. Well, I can't wait to hear the record in full. I've heard a handful of the songs off the album and I love it so far. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me today. I appreciate your time.
Hey, it's so fun.
I have one more question for you, Dida, before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Hey, wow, it depends what they want to do.
Musicians, guitar players.
Play a lot of music with people. No, seriously, like I think playing with people and making things like real really helps. So like wherever stage you are and what you want to do, find more people that want to do just that and like do that with them.